it's a very beautiful area and very rich soil for the wine. For these reasons, from 2000 years ago that we produce wine, ancient Roman do the wine in Castelli Romani area. They continue until today.
Fascinating people with stories to share, fabulous wines and the best local foods to accompany them, and beautiful places to discover and visit. All of this and more on Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on the Italian Wine Podcast. Join me for a new episode every Tuesday. Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Today we travel to Lazio, and more specifically to Velletri, to the Castelli Romani to the south of Rome, to meet my guest, Paolo Bombetti of Azienda Vitivinicola Colleformica. Buongiorno, Paolo. Thank you so much for being my guest. How are you today?
Today, everything okay. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much to invite me here for this conversation. And hello to everybody.
Thank you, Paolo. È una bella giornata? Is it a beautiful day where you are?
So and so, it's a little bit crowdy. I'm in Rome. I'm not in Velletri now. I'm in Rome because I live here and I have the vineyard and the cellar in Velletri, but I live in Rome. So today I'm in Rome. I'm not in Velletri.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to pretend that you are in Velletri, to pretend that you are on your wine farm, Colleformica. And can you please describe for our listeners where you are, the Castelli Romani, and your land and where Colleformica is located?
Yes, okay. So Colleformica is located in Velletri. Velletri is 45 kilometers south of Rome. It's the last city of Castelli Romani. Castelli Romani area, it's a very rich area because it's volcanic soil. We have a couple of volcanic lake. One is very famous because there is the house of the Pope during the summer, Castel Gandolfo. And Velletri is the last city of Castelli Romani. We are more or less 300 meters. It's a fantastic area for the wine because we are 20-25 kilometers from the sea and 15-20 kilometers from the mountains. So we are in the middle and it's a very beautiful area and very rich soil for the wine. For these reasons, from 2000 years ago that we produce wine, ancient Roman do the wine in Castelli Romani area. They continue until today. It's not a very famous area for the wine just because the city of Rome just won a lot of quantity of wine for this little osteria and trattoria and little restaurant after the Second World War. The Castelli Romani area produce a lot of wine for Rome, and when you do a lot of wine, maybe the quality you can do your best.
Okay, Paolo. This rim of volcanic hills south of Rome, where the Castelli Romani are located, these beautiful villages that often have palaces and castles, or like, as you say, the Pope's residence at Castel Gandolfo, going down to Velletri, which I remember is a beautiful town. But you've described the area with the cooling breezes from the Mediterranean, the influence of the Apennini, the mountains to the east, this rich volcanic soil, and an abundance of sunshine. So we have an area where wine has been produced for more than 2,000 years. These wines were very famous for ancient Rome, for the Romans who loved them. Wines from Frascati, from Marino, from Velletri, all from this area, making their way to Rome. But as you say, Paolo, this has been an area where the wines have often been bulk wines that went to the osterie, not quality wines. Your family have been growing grapes for over 100 years. Tell us a little bit about your family story, because Colleformica is actually a fairly new enterprise, isn't it?
Yes. We call our company Colleformica because the area that there is our country house, it's called Contrada Colleformica area. And for this, the name of the cellar was very easy. And it's our house from 130, 140 years ago. They start to be there, the grandfather of my father. And my father was born there in 1940, and after he studied, he moved in Rome for the university. And I was born in Rome with my two sisters, but they used to live there, my grandfather and grandmother. So I used to spend a couple of months during the summer with my grandfather and grandmother, helping there, doing the bread in the wood oven. There used to be chicken, rabbit, and so it was a very very beautiful place that I was born, and I was grow up during the summer and more or less all the Christmas, Easter, and the weekend. Me, my family, and especially my father used to live there 1 foot and especially half earth. And in 2018, we decided to bottle the wine and to create something to maintain this place. Because before this, we just sell the grapes to some big seller around Velletri. And my father used to do some wine for him, not very good wine. But in 2018, we decided to do this to try to gain some money to maintain this place because it was an amazing place, very beautiful place, and it was our place.
Okay, Paolo, that's a beautiful story that this has been in your family for over 130 years, that your great grandfather was on the farm and you would go out for summers and holidays to the farm, which would have been a mixed farm then, Paolo, not a specialized wine farm. You said there would be chickens and other activities as well as growing grapes. Is that still the case today? Do you have more activities than just growing grapes?
Allah, no, we don't have chicken and rabbit now. We used to have this until my grandfather and my grandmother was alive. We just have 3 hectares. It's not so big. 3 hectares was maybe the house that can used to live one family before in central Italy, but more or less in all Italy. Now it's very difficult to live with just 3 hectares. But in these 3 hectares, we have 2 hectares of grapes, and the other hectare we have 120, 130 olive oil trees, very old. The oldest are 100 years old, 110 years old. And after we have fruit trees, more or less we have all the things. Because I told to you, it's very rich soil. So we have from peach, apricot. Now it's winter, so there are oranges and lemon, figs. And after we do vegetables every season. 1 hectare is for this, but the vegetables and the olive oil is just for the consume of the family. And maybe some friends, we sell some olive oils to some friends.
Okay, it sounds like a paradise.
It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. Maybe it's not the most beautiful place in Italy, but it's a beautiful place. Very quiet. And for me, it's very beautiful because normally I spend 2, 3 days in Velletri and the rest of the week in Rome because I have my family, my wife, and one son and one daughter. But when I go there and I spend these 2, 3 days there, I feel in paradise. I go outside
Mm.
the ring road of Rome and it was fantastic.
Okay, Paolo, what were you doing before you decided to dedicate yourself to Colleformica?
I have a couple of lives before because I studied university international management and I started to work in London like an insurance broker in the city. So I lived for 1 year in London in 2004, so 20 years ago. And I continue after in Rome with an insurance broker. This is the first life. The second life, I decided to open a bed and breakfast in Rome, and I have this bed and breakfast until COVID period because I started in 2018 with the wine. So from 2018 2020 I do both bed and breakfast and wine. But after the COVID period, the lockdown and everything, I take the decision to dedicate all of the time for the wine because you have to stay there. You have to feel there, to stay there, to walk in the vineyard very soon. So you have to dedicate all of the time for this.
Okay, okay, that's really interesting. Now, I'm imagining, Paolo, that the way your family always cultivated the grapes was in a very natural way of growing grapes and making the wine. And you are also taking a minimal intervention, a natural approach to growing grapes and wine. Is that the reason why you wanted to follow this strada to maintain the way the farm had always been, or did you have other reasons for wanting to make wines in this sustainable way of farming?
No, 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 yes, yes. We want to maintain and we want to continue this street. When we decided in 2017 to bottle the wine, it was very clear that we have to follow this street. So we don't use a chemical in the vineyard, and we try to do less is possible. Less is possible if the weather and if we can, obviously. So we don't use chemical in the vineyard, and also in the cellar we don't filter the wine, we don't clarify the wine, and we use yeast from the cellar.
Okay.
Doing it this way, we think that is the best way because wine is alive. And if you start to do chemical things, and if you try to modify the wine, to modify also the grapes in the vineyard, you go to kill the wine that we think that is alive. And so every year is different. Every year is different. The weather is different. The temperature is different. The quantity of rain is different. So every year you'll be obtain a different wine, and it's not
So,
like a beer that you can use a distillated water. So beer, it's the same beer in Australia, in Japan, or in Canada. Wine is completely different and alive, and so we have to respect to try to do the best.
no, that's a beautiful way of putting it. That you're really expressing the terroir, but also expressing the different challenges that each year brings, and every year, of course, brings its own challenges. Paolo, let's just briefly touch on the four grape varieties that you cultivate, and then I'd like to talk about three of the wines that you make: the Formica Pazza Gialla, sparkling, a wine that I've enjoyed here with Gennaro is the Arancia Atomica, really extraordinary wine, and also the Primativo. But first of all, tell us the grape varieties and maybe something of the work in the vineyard.
Okay, so we have the classical grape for the white wine, the classical grape from our area. So there is Malvasia di Candia and Trebbiano. Malvasia di Candia is a little bit aromatic grape, and so normally they use 70-80% of Malvasia di Candia and they cut a little bit with Trebbiano, 20-30% with Trebbiano, just to cut this aromatic grape a little bit. So all our white wine is with these two grapes, and more or less 80%, 85% Malvasia di Candia and 15-20% Trebbiano. Formica Pazza Gialla, it's a sparkling wine and it's re-fermented in the bottle with frozen must. So we frozen the must during the harvest and we unfrozen the must normally in February, March. So when we have to bottle the wine, we put the quantity to re-ferment the bottle to create the bubbles in the bottle. It's a very easy drink wine, a very, very happy wine, I think.
So Paolo, I've not come across the use of frozen must before for the secondary fermentation. Often wine producers might add sugar to make that secondary fermentation and yeast, but this is the frozen must after the harvest. The secondary fermentation occurs in the bottle. Is this a pet nat, a petio naturel style of wine, a metodo ancestrale?
You know that all the time we speak about petnat ancestral. One person say one things, another person say another things. I think it's a petnat, yes, but
Okay.
other people sometimes say that it's ancestral. I call petnat.
Okay. So the sediment remains in the bottle.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, yes. Remain in the bottle, and we normally when we open a bottle, we move and put all together the yeast and the liquid, and so I think the taste is much better.
Okay, that's interesting because there are two ways of drinking that, aren't there? Some people leave it to settle on the bottom and then drink it, but otherwise, and some prefer to have it all mixed. I agree. Often, when the wine is good, I like to have that flavor throughout the wine of the yeast sediment as well as the wine itself mixed in.
The beautiful of the wine is this: each person prefers something and prefer like more one wine than another one, the temperature of the wine, and so this is the beautiful of the wine. if every person can decide what to think, how to think, what to drink, how to drink, and this is the beauty.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, those same grape varieties, primarily Malvasia di Candia and Trebbiano, are utilized in your other white wines, the Formica Gialla, the Biancofiore. The wine I've sampled and really enjoyed is the Arancia Atomica. Tell us about this wine.
We do a little introduce to the three still wine because we try to do also a particular things because we do this three wine with the same grapes, the same day of harvest, with three different vinification. So it's all of three Malvasia di Candia 80% with 80%, 85% and 15-20% Trebbiano. Biancofiore it's directly press. Formica Gialla it's 4-5 days skin contact and Arancia Atomica is 120 days, 110 days skin contact. So with this we also want to show to the people that drink our wine how you can do with the same grape, the same day of harvest, three different wines. For us, Formica Gialla is the wine that normally my grandfather used to do in our area. It's the wine of Castelli Romani. Some skin contact for a few days, and so it's the wine of Castelli Romani.
Paolo, that when you say it's the wine your grandfather would have made and drunk the wine of the Castelli Romani, this would have been the type of wine one would go into those osterie in the Castelli Romani. And I remember this going back almost 40 years ago, and it would never be in a bottle. It would come in a carafa, and you would maybe have some paper wrap porchetta to enjoy and eat with your hands.
It's something that you can drink in the fraschette.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Normally the fraschette you go there with something to eat, you can bring something to eat from your home, and when you go to fraschette they give you the wine, just the wine, and you can sit, you have the table. Yes, normally it not bottled wine, just from a carafa, and yes, it's the wine of Castelli Romani.
Paolo, do these fraschette still exist?
Yes, in Ariccia is the place that they do the porchetta. And in Ariccia, there are the fraschette, not like 50, 70, 60, 70 years ago. Now you have to take the food there, but more or less there are some characteristic fraschetta.
Okay. Okay. And so then the Biancofiore.
So the Biancofiore is directly pressed.
So this is the Mosto Fiore, the free run juice.
Exactly. We put directly in the press. And the Formica Gialla is 4-5 skin contact. And Arancia Atomica we leave in skin contact until January.
Okay.
Next week we'll go to take out the skin from the Arancia Atomica 2024. So
Okay.
Arancia Atomica was something new because it's a wine that in our area no one do. But 4-5 years ago, 2020, with my father, we have still a little tank, and I said, "Papa, why we don't leave the wine there for 2-3 weeks?" And so we lived for 2-3 weeks. After we taste, and we said, "Okay, it's good. Why we don't leave it for 1 week or other 2 weeks?" At the end, we arrived to 140 days the first year, and it was something special. The smell is fantastic. We call Arancia Atomica. Arancia is orange in English, atomic orange, because the really smell of orange. I don't know if we have the influence of our trees outside. We have lemon and orange, a lot of trees there, but we have really the smell of agrumi.
That's really fascinating, Paolo. I remember tasting this with Gennaro, and I noted the agrumi on the nose. And of course, when people hear here in England about an orange wine, some people think the wines are made from oranges. Of course, we're referring to the skin contact whites that take on that orange color. But I remember that your wine, the Arancia Atomica, does have this distinct bouquet, beautiful perfume of agrumi, of citrus fruits.
Yes, yes, yes. And we are very happy and very proud also because we do something new that before doesn't exist in our.
So this orange style of wine wasn't something that was, again, going back to old tradition.
Sorry,
So,
Marco.
so, so the lengthy skin contact wasn't the way wine was made, come una volta.
Yes, but not for all of these
Not for
days.
such a lengthy period of resting on the skins. Okay, fascinating. I think it's a wonderful wine. And I would like to also comment on your extraordinary wine labels. Who designs these?
It's a friend of mine. I do the logo. I do the logo.
The logo of the formica, the ant.
Yes, I also made a mistake, and I understand after, because if you see the hunt have four legs in the logo, but normally the hunt have six legs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I think it's much more beautiful like
Yeah,
this with four legs.
it's a great logo. It's very very good, and I enjoy the labels of your wines. They're fun. I think Paolo, they're expressing the joy and the fun of wines that make you happy.
I think yes. I think yes. Life is so short, so you have to drink a good wine. And when you drink good wine, you have to see a good label, very happy label. You have to get fun. For this, also, the most happy label is the most serious wine, Arancia Atomica. So, Arancia Atomica is a very serious wine, orange wine, and I put the most funny label. I think this we don't like serious things. Yes, we work, we do in the serious way, we do our best, especially during in the vineyard, we work very hard. But after, when you drink, you have to sit, you can drink a good glass of wine, eat something, do a barbecue, or take a porchetta, like told to you, or it's just a piece of bread with olive oil and salt, and so you can get fun. You can get fun.
Yes, absolutely. Let's just talk about let's talk about your primitivo. I know you make a Sangiovese as well, but let's talk about the primitivo. I think I tasted this wine as well. A beautiful expression of primitivo, a grape we normally associate with Puglia.
Exactly, exactly. Because historically, Primitivo grapes are a grape that used to be from the center of Italy to the south. So, from the south of Umbria, Lazio, Abruzzo, Campania. But in the last years, after the Second World War, going disappeared in our area. I think because I told to you that Rome won a lot of wine, and Primitivo grape are very difficult to work in the vineyard. So maybe for this going disappeared from our area. But when we decided to bottle the wine in 2017, we have to replace one part of the vineyard. And with my father, we decided to put Primitivo. So we replanted one little part of our vineyard, and it's something special because I think only Colleformica have Primitivo in our area. It's a challenge because now I understand why it disappeared, because it's very difficult grapes to work. It's very compact grape. So when started to in the second part of August, the first rain in our area, you have to pay attention. And now I understand why the Primitivo is in Puglia, because in Puglia they don't have this problem of humidity and rain during the summer, the last part of the summer. It's much more dry. But I think we are studying the Primitivo and we are to try to do our best. It's difficult, but I think we're gonna arrive to a good result. Also now it's a good result, but we're gonna do better.
Okay, so it's a challenging grape to grow in the wine hills of the Castelli Romani. Paolo, let's turn now. We've touched on a few foods, but I think these wines are wines like all Italian wines that are best enjoyed with food and with local foods. Are there foods particular to the Castelli Romani, or perhaps you might want to talk about some Roman foods that pair particularly well with your wines?
I think our wines are perfect for the Roman food. The Roman food it's very strong, very so carbonara, matriciana,
The guanciale.
mix
Yeah.
things with one guanciale. So it's very strong food. And I think our wine with aromaticity, we speak about, for example, the white with Malvasia di Candia, aromatic grape, can clean the mouth after with this food. Also with porchetta that you tell you before, and the still white wine, but I think also the sparkling wine, the Formica Pazza Gialla that you told before, or Formica Pazza Rosé also. And I think it's a wine from our dish in Castelli Romani and in Rome.
Okay, so working very well with those strong flavored Roman specialties that people love. Paolo, what about visiting Colleformica. If our listeners would like to visit, is this possible?
Yes, it's possible. I'm trying to organize better and better because I told to you I don't live there, but we do sometimes some visit with some group of people. So I visit to the vineyard, to the cellar, to taste the wine from the tank and open some bottle of wine. And I would like to improve more this. But if some listener are interested in to visit us in Colleformica, we are very happy. We can contact us and we can organize.
Okay, that's very good to know. I'd certainly like to visit myself.
Yes, yes. We wait you when you come in Rome, when you come in Italy.
Well, thank you so much, Paolo. It's been really great to talk to you, to hear about Colleformica, about this link with your family of maintaining the family country farm outside of Rome, of making wines as your family have done for 100 years, but now making them, bottling them with these fabulous labels, and indeed exporting them so that I can enjoy them here in Southwest Devon, in England, and indeed, I'm sure your wines are found elsewhere. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us, for taking us to Velletri, and I hope that we can meet one day soon.
Mark, thank you very much to you, to all of your listeners, and I hope to see you.
Grazie, grazie, a presto.
Grazie a te. Buona
Buona
giornata, grazie.
giornata. Thank you, Paolo. Thank you very much. We hope today's episode of Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on the Italian Wine Podcast has transported you to somewhere special. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your pods. Likewise, you can visit us at italianwinepodcast.com. Until next time, chin chin.